Hey friends, today we are here with Laura Bushnell and we're talking all about magic, how to find your magic and how to live in magic. Don't forget to hit subscribe. And I want to get into magic because you talk about how we all have magic in us.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, the word magic, the reason I started thinking about magic initially was that when I used to go to people's homes once in a while and work with them, especially when they were dying, if they had children, the children, when I would arrive, say, "Oh, it's the magic lady." Why? Because people were happier when I left. And so they called me that. So then I named my company Magic Lady. But I looked up the word magic, and the word magic comes from a Persian word magi, which means to bring light to, which is really lovely, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we have such a kind of negative connotation to magic, I think, and yet I love going to magic shows. And why? Because it lights me up. It's so unbelievable and so exciting and so fun.
I know.
But I never looked up the definition.
Yeah. So it means to bring light to. And in ancient terms, there were magicians, and they weren't magicians like you see in Las Vegas or at the Magic Castle. They were shamans, they were druids, they were prophets. Those were the magic people in a tribe. So I have a lot of shamanic leanings. I mean, I've never studied anything. I've just always just let whatever is natural come out. And
explain what a shaman does.
Shaman is a healing force. They use earth magic, earth energies to heal, or plant medicines. Shamanic teachers do that too.
Do you use plant medicines?
I have a great interest in plant medicines, and I've used them myself. And yes, I have used them with particular people who need to have a shift. Yes.
And in terms of the healing, is that something that you just have cultivated your own thing in terms of like how you're healing someone?
I just become a conduit. I don't think of myself as a healer. I'm a conduit, and I just open myself up and let source guide it. So I never know what I'm going to do.
Wow. When, we talk a lot on the show about listening to your inner guidance, listening to those voices. And I'm always asking everyone how to help interpret that and how to trust that. What do you say to people?
Well,
because you really had to listen to something that was so intense. I mean, to hear, leave them, go.
Right.
I hear stuff sometimes and I'm like, oh, maybe not that one. Maybe that's not right. You really listen.
Well, it was a really direct, you got to remember, I had very direct messages, I mean, it was proven so much to me so that I could listen. When I was getting in the car, luckily I had 2 nannies at the time, so I could, leave my children too. But sometimes I took them or one of them with me. But, when I would get in the car and I would be told like this, I mean, I was so physically directed that when you find that you're, doing that, that's happening. Like one time, I think the time that was the strongest for me is I was told to drive towards Sun Valley. So, my head's going this way, and so I'm driving, and then I get stopped, and there's this little cafe gas station. So I stopped the car, and I went in, and there were 3 people sitting at a table. And when I walked in, they kind of looked at me as if they knew me, and I felt like I knew them. And I said, "Do I know you?" And the guy said he was Johnny Lister. Now, Johnny Lister was an astrologer, and I'd heard his name. He was the only astrologer I'd ever heard about in this little town. And he had just found out that he had cancer. So they were sitting there talking to him. And so I ended up working with him. And that experience was so beautiful because he had to be put in a nursing home. And he was like really angry, like, why am I in this place? I don't want to be in a place like this. All these old people. He was just so frustrated. And I would just sit there with him. I would just, breathe and just, I would build a fire in my heart and I'd just sit there and the anger would kind of dissipate. And then he
Were
asked
you
me,
building a fire in your heart to
yes,
take it away from him?
I was doing it just to burn up the anger. Yeah, just burn it up. I didn't want to take it on and I didn't want anyone else to take it on. I just started building this fire in there and I just feel it burning. And he would just start complaining. I wouldn't say anything. I'd just sit there, you know, and listen to him and just sit there and find my own peace, you know. Because the more peaceful you can become, the clearer the answers are, the clearer the vision is. You can listen more clearly. So I would just sit there and let him work it out. I couldn't heal it for him. And I could understand it. I think I would feel the same if I was, you know, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he called me one day and he asked me to come up. And I went up and he was playing piano. He was an incredible pianist. I did not know. He was playing the piano, but he was he had every person in the place, wheelchairs, beds were brought in. He was playing for all the people living in this nursing home. And he was talking about each of the composers and what their astrological signs were, and then playing a piece by them. It was so beautiful. Everybody was full of joy.
Wow.
And he died the next day.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And so those kinds of things were happening to me that were so real and so strong. So when I heard things, even though I resisted sometimes, it didn't, you know, it didn't stop. It wasn't like, oh, a passing thought, I should do this. It was like, no, you're doing this. There wasn't any choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people would say that knew me, you were so courageous. But I didn't feel courageous. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know?
So then for others who don't have it as strong as that,
I think you
how
have
do
to
you-
clear, you have to meditate because meditation is a sweeping out, a sweeping away. Or, you know, that's one thing I think about plant medicine is that it heals trauma and is so much faster than any kind of psychological process.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, particularly after COVID, realized how much trauma they had because they were so busy they didn't let it, you know, affect them. But
Now
you know,
you're
then they
sitting
found
with
out, and I certainly did. I had a very traumatic childhood. And yes, it developed my psychic abilities. Yes, it did. I'm grateful. But still, there was a lot of pain. And my mother was murdered. My stepfather killed her. And so I had a lot to let go of. And so I did ayahuasca before that. I did ayahuasca in 2016. But I went to the jungle. And then I did a lot of other things during COVID, you know, clearing. And that clearing was phenomenal. And I think everyone has that ability to do that kind of work as well.
What was the most important thing you think you did clearing-wise?
I don't know. I think they all build upon themselves, you know. Ayahuasca was very powerful. I think it's something you have to be called to do. It's not for everybody. It's a very rough journey. I was very clean at that time, so I didn't vomit or anything like that. But I saw these amazing angels around me, and I saw up above me all these spaceships, and I thought, you know what? I will never be afraid again. I will never be afraid. And then I wondered if everyone else had that, and I walked into the hut, the ceremonial hut, and they were everywhere around everybody, but most people didn't know it. And they were full of fear, and they were vomiting and screaming and crying, and they had no idea that none of the stuff that happened mattered. They didn't know who they were. And if people can meditate and clear away the old emotional wounds, everybody has wounds, and get quiet and go inside, then they will have a clear voice to listen. But of course, you can't hear things very clearly when you're too wounded.
Mm-hmm. Or too busy.
Or too busy. If you're thinking all the time, if you're using your mind trying to figure out or measuring your spiritual growth, you know, that's ego. Yeah. None of that stuff matters. You know, just get to know yourself. get to know yourself, and listen to your heart. Your heart will speak to you. And it takes time to do that. Wake up in the morning and let all your organs smile. Just let everything smile and say, use this day. May this day be a day for me to learn to love myself. Be a happy learner.
We're happy learners here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
That's good.
It sounded like you credited your clairvoyance to the trauma. And I find that interesting. I'd love to.
I think it's, I think it was my destiny, but it was certainly developed
to protect.
To protect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To protect. I had a lot of beatings. It was I raised myself. It was not easy, but, I never really carried it with me. I always remained curious, and I was always really interested in otherworldly things. That was my interest.
What's your sign?
I'm a Virgo. What about you?
Virgo. I'm a Gemini.
Oh, yeah.
But Kelsey, what are my important ones? I can never remember.
You have a Cancer moon.
I have a Cancer
which
moon.
so does exactly. So does Laura. And you're a Pisces rising.
I'm a Pisces rising too.
I felt like you were very similar.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I feel so similar?
No, there is some similarity.
Because I have the same thing. Like, no matter what's happening for the most part, like it's almost like you would never know in a weird way.
Yeah, there's an innocence that we still carry, and not very many people can do that.
Yeah.
We're ruled by Mercury too, so we're both, quick, fast.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You said something else that I thought was interesting, that you can't heal someone, they have to heal themselves. And I know that, here we're very, very interested in learning new modalities because the show's called Heal Squad for a reason.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I found with my mom on her cancer journey was I could bring in the best healers and they did amazing work. But then it's really up to you to have that consistency or that like official healing. Someone can help you in that day, maybe that week, but unless you do that work yourself to heal whatever is underlying.
Let me just put something out there to you. What if healing was passing on? What if healing was dying? Because dying is only another birth. When people die, they have a smile on their face if they die consciously. And when babies come, they cry. So we might have the whole thing backwards. So, I think the fear of death is something that haunts everybody. But healing, the Course in Miracles says to heal is to make happy. And I think the word ill means I lack love. But I think often healing is letting go and passing. So you can bring all kinds of healers in, but if their destiny is not to be here, they're not going to be here. They're going to go to the next place.
Yeah.
And it's not so bad, When I communicate to the dying, they're happy.
Yeah. I've never heard a bad story.
I've seen one.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I had a client come in and I did a mediumship with her and I said, gosh, she's not very nice. I said, I'm sorry, she's not very nice. And I said, and she's holding a baby. And she said, she wasn't very nice and she lost a baby. I said, well, and Rumi says, search for the truth while you're alive. Because if you think that everything's going to be perfect when you die, that's not how it's going to be. So there are many different stages of the afterlife people go through to heal themselves.
No way.
Yeah, but this woman was very angry, and she was locked in that anger.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Every time you hear of somebody having a near-death experience, I just heard a couple most recently, and they just have beautiful stories of what it was like on the other side, and they didn't want to come back, and my dad had one.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I've only heard good stories other than this one now.
Yeah, well, that's how she was.
But that's how she was.
That's how she was, and that's how she is. And that's, maybe
doesn't
maybe
change.
she'll be stuck in there for a while. Maybe at some point she'll release that and go into, a more glorious place. But heaven is here. Heaven is right here. We're in heaven right now.
Isn't that
So
interesting?
why wait for heaven?
Yeah.
Why don't we start making this earth our heaven? Why don't we start living with love every day? If we could think about a world family and we could make this world a beautiful place instead of all the problems. People focus on the problems, and that never works. Just like the war on drugs, that didn't work at all. If we could just, maybe we have to have a war on peace, and maybe we'll get peace. It's just, the whole thing seems
what you focus on.
Yeah, it's what you focus on. So you've got to focus on the world you want to see, not the world that is.
I love
And
that.
you have to look for the beauty in everything. The world is hungry for beauty. Even if it's a weed popping out of a piece of cement, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find the beauty in every single thing.
That's why I wake up and I go out to my trees and I sniff them.
And you have that, but not everybody has that.
Yeah.
You're blessed that you have it. But if you don't have it, look for any little thing that's beautiful. Look in your own eyes. Go into the mirror and look at your own eyes deeply instead of critically. People go in the mirror and they criticize themselves. They judge themselves constantly. So if you can let that go and just look in your own eyes and say, I love you. I forgive you. I forgive you for anything you may have done in the past that caused me pain. And practice that on a daily basis. Your life will change.
Those are great exercises. I high five myself in the morning.
Yeah, that's Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She taught us that. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
What am I going to lose? Every day I'm like, you got this.
Yeah, I've had clients do it. I think it's a great exercise. She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works.
I think the eyes are they're the mirrors of the soul. And the eyes always stay the same in a person.
Well, I know that I recently framed a photo of me in the second grade, and I have it on my bookshelf. And every time I turn the corner, I can't help but look.
Mm-hmm.
And this photo is funny to me because my parents were janitors growing up at nightclubs, and I found this charm on the floor once, and it said "little shit." And they didn't speak English.
Oh my gosh.
And so they didn't know what it meant. I wore it like a little shit. I wore it to my second grade pictures. And I just think it's the funniest thing ever. And every time I turn the corner, I look at that little girl and I'm like, damn, did you know that this was all going to happen? You didn't. And it did.
Yeah.
And I think that's another cool exercise for people is to, Tony Robbins does it with the Dickens process in his seminars, is if we could just look back on that little person and say, it's going to be okay. Like, and we are okay. And just remember that that person still exists in here.
Mm-hmm.
We're obviously not the same anymore, but we are inside. What would you do to them? What would you say to them? How would you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want them to look in the mirror and think, I look terrible or any of that?
Yeah.
So
inner child work is very powerful. I like people to find different pictures from different years to see where they lost their spark. Because somewhere along the line, you lost it. And if you can find that place, that's a really powerful place to work with. And also just to go inside and just, talk to your inner child and say, I love you and how cute you are, and just love your little child up,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Get the kind of love you wanted from your parents that you didn't get.
Yeah. Give it to yourself.
Give it to yourself. You've got to give it to yourself anyway. I mean, that's your only real love there is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give from an empty cup.
This is true.
It becomes, I need, instead of, I want.
So what are your top tips for us to find our magic?
Well, having your organs smile every day. That's a good one.
Do you go through all of them individually?
You can if you want. I just have them all smile at the same time.
I love it. I talk to mine at night. I talk to mine at night. I talk to all the systems and thank them. But okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the smiling. I like that.
I think you have to expect magic. So I would make a sign, expect magic, so that you start training yourself to expect it, because then you start to see it. Definitely looking in your eyes, meditating and seeing yourself sweeping everything out, seeing sweep, sweep, sweep. And especially if you're looking for a relationship, sweep that pathway to your heart. Sweep, and then plant some flowers along the path and start making that inviting to come into your heart,
I like that.
Yeah. Taking time, again, to see the beauty. Look for the beauty. Notice when you judge. Notice it. Say, laugh at yourself. People take everything so seriously, and all we talk about is work. When it comes to a spiritual path, people are just working their little butts off. Oh my God. The thing is, it's the most natural part of who we are. Get out of your mind. Stop thinking about it all the time. Let out of your mind and start experiencing life. It's a fun journey. It should be fun. Only people I've hung out with that are very high energies, like Ram Dass, they're laughing all the time. Monks laughing all the time. Fun. They're having fun. Even though they're doing beautiful work, they're having fun doing it. And I think people get way too serious. So, shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Move your energy, dance, start moving around and sounding, making sounds and clearing out old stuff. The first time I did ecstasy with the psychologist, wow, I made sound for 7 hours. The sounds that were coming out. And then after I'd make sounds for a while, I'd shake and I'd go, now there's room for me. Now there's room for me.
Wow.
So clear it out. Yeah, there's room for me. And I think a lot of people don't have room for themselves in their life. They don't have room for themselves in their relationship. They don't have room for you. So make room for you and notice it. Notice it. Give yourself those loving, kind words. Good job.
Yeah, why wait for someone else it's not anybody else's job to give it to you, but also you're going to be waiting a long time perhaps to hear the things that you want to hear that you can just tell yourself.
Yeah. And give it. Give what you have, share, but, give love to other people. Because a lot of people are in pain right now. There's a lot of fear and pain out there right now. The world is changing dramatically.
I like it. We are in heaven now.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up this morning actually, and one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is it is what we make it in general. There was a moment where I was like, we don't have community here, blah, I want to move. Or I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I haven't made enough of an effort to make community. Maybe if I push myself a little bit further, I can make it what I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the same thing, like it's life.
Yeah.
Make it what we want it to be. Community
has to happen naturally too. You meet kindred souls.
Mm-hmm.
And when you meet them, nourish those souls. That's, spend time together.
Yeah.
You'll find it grows naturally.
Except in LA, everything's an hour away.
Well, there's no time. Time doesn't exist.
I'm always like, we live so far away. It's always so hard to see people. But yeah, nourishing them with that intention, I think is really important.
You can also Zoom with people.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same, but it does help to stay connected.
Yeah. I will add that to the list of ideas.
But remember, time doesn't exist. So don't think in terms of, it's an hour away, because those are limitations that you're placing on yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll only take 10 minutes this time. Who knows?
You're right.
Time, we're losing a sense of time. Have you noticed? Since COVID, time is really...
It is, actually.
It's dissolving.
Right.
Everything's dissolving like that. And I'll tell you, I have had experiences with time that are very trippy. And so I know that There's a couple things for sure I know. One is that we're living in many, there's no past lives. It's happening right now, all of them.
At the same time.
Yes. Now, that's a theory or something people have said, but I experienced it. When I was working with a dying man once, I went to his hospital and he was, hooked to tubes and everything. And as I was sitting there, his face started changing. And every fraction of a second, the face would change. And another face would come on. And at one point, I literally thought, oh my God, he's going to kill me. Like I knew the face. And then I was like, oh, no, he's hooked to tube. I tried to talk myself down. And I watched him die. And I watched him, all these faces go around as he left the body. And he was leaving all those dimensions. I thought, that's really true, that we are living in all these dimensions at once. And he was leaving.
Wow.
I saw it twice. It was wild. So I think definitely we are. And sometimes people leave from all the dimensions at once and leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's probably when you go to a whole
and
really
time.
cool level.
And time, you can stretch it out. You can do all kinds of things with time. But in our mind, we keep thinking in terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
But now, since COVID, people don't even know what time it is half the time or what day it is.
It has changed
it's
a lot.
It's
You're
dissolving.
right.
And I've seen an astrologer who told me that time was dissolving, and I feel it.
Wow. So how do you set yourself up for a successful Monday and a successful week?
I don't even think about it. I just assume I would have one.
That's ultimate surrendering. I like it.
I think that the first drink that a person takes from a glass of water, they should hold their glass up to their heart chakra, and they should close their eyes, and they should just see themselves having the most beautiful day possible. And if there's anything they're doing, just see themselves being successful or whatever they want, and then drinking the water. Because we're made of water, so that's a way to program your whole body.
And program the water for your body.
Well, you program the water, then you drink the water, and it's in your body. It goes through every cell in the body.
I'm going to do that.
Blessing. You should bless all your food. You should bless, and in particular, your water should be
How do
blessed.
you specifically bless your water and your food?
Well, I hold my water always to my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and then I always have my hands over my food. That way, if I'm at a restaurant or something, I can do it without anyone noticing, really.
Mm-hmm.
I just hold my hands out. You can feel the energy until it shifts. You can feel it.
And what do you say internally?
I don't say anything. I just bless it. It's a blessing for me, by me. I don't have to say anything. I just hold a quiet space and let the energy from me go in it.
Have you ever seen, this is so bad, have you ever seen inappropriate things done with your food when you've done that? Have you ever felt energy like, oh my God, they dropped this and they put it on my plate? I would assume that could happen.
It doesn't really matter because you're clearing anything that's there.
Okay.
Because you think about all the people that hold your food.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through so many hands and so many places. So I just want to make sure, if the cook might be in a bad mood that day or something, it just kind of clears it.
I like that.
And sometimes it takes longer than other times. It's interesting. Sometimes it's really fast, and sometimes I just have to sit there for a while until it shifts. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you have a meditation program that you do for sure, because I know you've mentioned on the show meditating.
I have a magic program that's called Life Magic. I have a life magic, money magic, and body magic. But my life and love magic, but my life magic is, I think, the most powerful. It helps people. It quickens things. It removes old thought forms, and it moves you. It accelerates. I like to accelerate.
But then you say to let things happen naturally too.
Sometimes there's blocks, Realize people have programming that sometimes needs to get unstuck.
Yeah.
Congestion, A lot of things are congested right now.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know my blocks, and I'm like, how do you get rid of them?
That's how you do it.
Life magic.
The life magic is so powerful.
What is it?
It's a meditation program. It's an incantation. And I have a talisman that I designed that has some weight to it. And you put it on your heart chakra. And so it has some weight. Helps the body remember. And then you listen to a 5-minute meditation, incantation. That's all.
Once a
Every
day.
day for 36 days.
That's so easy.
Then you stop for 36 days. That's the hard part. No one wants to stop. Then you go back on for 36 days. So it equals 108, which is every bead on a rosary. And
and it just unblocks you.
Yes, it's very, very powerful.
I'm starting that today.
Very powerful. Yeah, I think it's the strongest work I have. Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll put everything in the summary of this mini episode here on money motivations and intentions so you guys can get that, because I'm going to do that for sure. I love when things are simple.
Mm-hmm.
And even just the way you were describing it just felt so good.
Yeah,
you can't really right.
You can't let anyone else see or touch your seal. When your talisman, you charge it. It comes with a little book and a calendar and everything. So you charge the seal with a candle, which it comes with, and then you put it in a little canister, which it comes with, and you don't let anyone else see or touch it. Because secrets make things happen. If you hold it and you don't talk about it, when you talk about everything, you let it go. But if you have a secret, it makes it more powerful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I say, don't tell anyone you're doing it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not doing any of this.
When you're doing it, they don't know when you're doing it.
And it's definitely not starting today.
No, I'm not doing it today. No.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, Laura, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's a really cool conversation to have, actually. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
This was such a great conversation.
Thank you.
So effortless. Well, that was a magical conversation.
She's so lovely.
Yeah.
She's so fun. I really like her talking about at the end, the sweeping, sweeping a pathway to your heart and planting flowers along the way and just a magic, that to me just really clicked. I was
Make it inviting.
I was like, wait, I can do that. Okay.
Yeah, because imagine, think of how many people have been heartbroken and their pathway is lined with guards and all this negativity, right? I just instantly saw that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, if you just, pave that pathway with flowers, how much more inviting and exciting is that?
So beautiful. Yeah, I really loved that. I also really like her talking about the ill being the I lack love. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh. And the other thing I wrote down was the women find... they find divinity through the letdown of men in their lives. I was like... Oh,
and the men find it in women seeing them.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I'm going to start seeing Kevin so much more so he can find his divinity.
Yeah. I love that, though. No, it's so important. I just think, I don't know, she was really great. I loved that she, just kind of lives. Everything she was talking about, even when you were, trying to dig in, she was like, I don't know. I just live. Mm-hmm. But she has this view that's just her awareness is so high, and I don't know, I really liked her. I thought that was a really light but meaningful, really cool conversation.
Yeah, there were so many moments. I hate buttoning everything with I love that, I like that, but I loved it. Yeah. And there were so many great things to take into your day, and I am going to take life magic. I'm going to take money magic too, of course, but 5 minutes a day,
right?
Anybody can do. Right. And I believe her that people are unblocking, and I know that I have some blocks, or at least one major block I know of. So let's unblock that stuff.
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. So we'll put in the summary all the information on Laura and her work and where to find life magic and money magic and so much more. And I think that's it. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, make some magic, line your pathway with flowers. Be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
Distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.